Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. This is the day that the Lord has made. We are rejoicing and we are glad in it. For those of you that are coming on live, please hit that like button, hit that share button, tag Lolly Dolly everybody and let them know your boy, Ramonepreston, my squad. We are live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. Woo! What a beautiful, beautiful Friday it is. My God, we've been in here grinding. Hit that like button. Hit that share button. I hate when people call me on IG. Hit that like button, hit that share button, tag Lolly Dolly everybody, and let them know the Ramonepreston Show, we are live in the house. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Friday, August the 18th. We are grinding here in the Buckhead community of Atlanta. Hit the like button, hit the share button. Let me get my chat up. Put in the comments what city you're watching your boy from. Shout out to my IG family, my YouTube family, LinkedIn. Shout out to Facebook. What other platforms do we have on here today? Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. I think we got Twitter. I think it's called X now. Whatever it is, welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. I'm your host, Ramonepreston. Every Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock noon, we come here, yes, to goof off a little bit, to have a little fun, because when you're doing what God has called you to do, whether it's in certain areas of life, business, ministry, community, or whatever, when you're doing what you love to do, you can have fun doing it. You don't have to take yourself so serious. We already deal with enough in the world today. So the last thing we want to do is have to show up to work or do whatever it is that we call to do and have to feel uptight and uncomfortable about our God-given purpose. So for those of you that are coming on, welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. Every Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time. My team and I, we show up here to give you the game, to share information with you, to show you how you can properly start, properly structure, and properly scale any business, any ministry, any income stream to 6 figures and beyond. Here's the good thing about all the information that I share with you. I have lived it personally. So after over 20 years of being a full-time entrepreneur and a full-time preacher, I think I know a thing or two about building a successful organizational enterprise. Now, just because I've been doing it for 20 years don't mean it automatically merits success. So it's taken a lot of time, it's taken a lot of experience, it's taken a lot of effort, a lot of education, but I've been able to successfully build a 7-figure organizational enterprise. And so every Monday through Friday, I take a few minutes to share information with you, not just on how I have built a successful enterprise, but I share information with you to show you how you can build a successful organizational enterprise. And so today on the show, we're going to be talking about the 4 pillars to maximize in business. So again, if you're an entrepreneur, here's what I want to start with. If you're an entrepreneur, unlike an employee who's in the workforce, you are in the marketplace. So there's a fundamental difference between being in the workforce and being in the marketplace. When you're in the workforce as a W-2 employee or even as a 1099 contractor, you are most likely working for, an entrepreneur or business owner who went into the marketplace and who created an opportunity for you to be an employee in the workforce. But when you're an entrepreneur, when you wake up every day and you have the sole responsibility to lead a ministry, a business, an organization, an enterprise, and you have people working for you, then guess what? You're not in the workforce. More importantly, you are in the marketplace. And so as an entrepreneur in the marketplace, there has to be this process of growth and development and expansion to, first of all, ensure that you can take care of yourself. And then secondly, to ensure that you're able to build a successful, sustainable team and business over long periods of time. And so what I have found in my 20 plus years as an entrepreneur who has become a legitimate, successful business owner is that there are certain pillars in business that you have to maximize. There are certain pillars in business that you have to maximize. So when I say pillars, I'm talking about things that are sustainable, things that are solid, things that once you learn them and you start implementing them and executing them at the highest level, you're able to see so many results from them. And so that's what I want to talk about today, the 4 pillars to maximize in business. So if you're an entrepreneur, even if you're a solopreneur, if you have a business, if you have an entity, an organization that you lead every day, these are 4 pillars that you should maximize within that business. Now, it may require you to maybe reset your current organizational structure. It may require you to pivot into other verticals within the industry that you're in. So it may have certain requirements outside of just the generalizations of what I'm talking about today, but at least I'm giving you something that you can wrap your mind around to have a good idea of what these pillars are and how you can maximize these pillars in your business. So if you're taking notes, I know y'all on IG, you're looking at it backwards, but if you're taking notes, these are the 4 pillars. These are the 4 pillars in business. At least the 4 that I want to talk about today. Of course, you can Google pillars in business and you might have 1,000 pillars that come up. I'm just talking about the 4 most important pillars that I believe you need to maximize in your business, especially in today's marketplace. A lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of small business owners are missing out on opportunities to maximize certain pillars in business today because they're just not thinking about the bigger picture. So anyway, here are the 4 pillars. The first pillar is the holding company. This is not just a legal structure. This is not just an entity structure. The holding company for me, because I'm an educator and a consultant, when it comes to these types of things, the holding company is a concept. It's something that you have to wrap your mind around to understand how to use in a business like a LLC or any other type of business. So the holding company, I would consider that to be one of the 4 main pillars that we want to talk about today that you need to maximize in your business. The second one is asset management. And even if these are common phrases or terms that you hear, you're probably not understanding them as an entrepreneur, okay? Like, for example, the holding company. That can be a common phrase that you hear, but you might hear it on such a high level, it may be like Wall Street, hedge fund type holding companies, and it don't resonate with you as a small business owner. The same thing with asset management. When you think about asset managers, you're thinking about hedge funds, sovereign wealth funds, private equity groups. You ain't really thinking about a small business owner. You definitely not thinking about yourself as a solopreneur, as a hustler, just getting up every day grinding. You're probably not thinking about yourself as an owner of a holding company or an owner of an asset management company. But asset management is another pillar in your business that you need to maximize. Creative tax strategies, that's another pillar. And this ain't something that you're going to just push off to a CPA or an accountant. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to be trying to do all this stuff yourself. What it means is you're going to need to know enough about creative tax strategies to stay on top of your financial activities on a day-to-day basis as an entrepreneur. And then the 4th pillar is operational systems. Like, I've been stressing this for the past week because I opened up an offer just this past Monday to my community, which, by the way, if you have already heard the offer that we opened up and extended and you've taken us up on the offer because you reached out to us, you signed up for what we're offering, I want to say congratulations to you because that's going to be a big game changer for you, especially if you're a small business owner or if you're a solopreneur. Like most small business owners are solopreneurs. All right. Statistics show that there are about 32 million small businesses registered in the United States of America. Right. Okay. Well, most of those small businesses are ran by, managed by, operated by the owner, the one who started it. And most of those small businesses never hire employees, and most of those businesses go out of business. And I've done my own research, and I've found out that a lot of these small businesses that are just ran by the solopreneur, they ain't even making no money. The money that they do have is coming from other sources of income, like a job or some type of retirement that the entrepreneur is putting in their business. Well, if that's the case, what you gonna do to change it? Well, you ain't gonna really do nothing to change it if you don't get new sources of information. So the information that I'm sharing with you is coming from someone who didn't have resources. I didn't have credit. I didn't have working capital. I couldn't go to a bank and get a loan. So I had to figure out creative ways, concepts that I could use to give me leverage to start maximizing my day-to-day opportunities. This is why today I'm talking about the 4 pillars that you need to use in order to maximize in your business. So these are 4 pillars you should maximize. Again, number 1 is the holding company. Number 2 is asset management. Number 3, creative tax strategies. And then number 4, operational systems. So just in case you're foreign to these 4 pillars, you don't understand the concepts behind these 4 pillars, let me break it down for you. First of all, with the holding company, it's not just a legal entity. Of course, if you're starting a holding company, it's just as simple, and I say simple loosely, but starting a holding company is basically you starting a LLC and structuring that LLC to be or to have, to be a holding company or to have the primary purpose of holding other assets and other businesses. All right. So the main difference between, let's say, a holding company LLC and an operating company LLC is the primary purpose of the LLC. So for example, if you understand the holding company, not just as a legal structure, but if you understand the concept of the holding company, what that means is you understand how to take multiple business entities and multiple business operations and multiple business activities, and you know how to stack them like an umbrella or under an umbrella. That's the basis of the concept, okay? So that means instead of you starting multiple businesses under yourself, that's not the holding company concept. What you're going to do is you're going to start one under you, and then the other ones you will start under the one that you own. And so instead of you owning these subsidiaries, you will own this one, and this one will own these. So that's really the basis of understanding the holding company as a concept. But it's a powerful concept because, number one, it keeps you positioned at the top of the mountain of your business empire, and it keeps you moving into the future, and it keeps you from being restricted to a certain business operation. So again, this is a pillar that you need to maximize in your business. For example, if you got an LLC right now, and your LLC is a business that sells a product or provides a service, most likely as an entrepreneur, you just stuck inside that business. Am I right? You just in there scrambling, trying to get out. You like, man, I'm just sick of it. Well, the reason why you're stuck, or at least one of the reasons why you feel stuck in that one operating business, is because of how you've structured your corporate entity. It's because you didn't structure it in a way so that you could be free even though you may still have the obligation to run that operation, to sell that product, to provide that service, but mentally you have restricted yourself and imprisoned yourself because you really ain't got nowhere to go. Your whole world revolves around this one business. But when you learn concepts like the holding company, here's what you're going to do. You're still going to have, let's say, an operating entity. You're still going to set your entity up because you want to go out there, sell products, you want to provide a service. You got to make money, right? But the difference is, instead of you being stuck and imprisoned inside of this, you're going to create a parent company and make sure that your parent company owns the operating company, and then you're going to stand at the top of the parent company. So even though you still got to come down here and grind now, you don't get a free pass not to work. You still got to show up and run the operating company, but at least mentally you're free to start building out your next move with your holding company. You're at least free to start seeing other opportunities and start nurturing those opportunities just because of how you reset or restructured your corporate enterprise. Does that make sense? So this is why the holding company is considered to be a pillar to me that you should maximize, because number one, it frees you up from being imprisoned mentally by the operating business that most likely you don't want to do for the next 30 years anyway. You probably just did it because you either good at it, you got a passion for it, you love it, this is what you do, you used to it, you educated and experienced in it, you know you can make money on it, and so you went with it. But at a certain point, you're trying to pivot and figure out, okay, what's my next business move? I'm tired of just spinning my wheels and staying on this hamster wheel of doing the same thing. I want to be able to pivot. Well, you got to pivot structurally first. At least I believe you should, because it makes it easier for you to pivot into other businesses, because a lot of times when everything you got is tied into one operating business and you don't have your holding company corporate structure set up the right way, you start feeling like if you let this business go, you letting everything you got go. You understand what I'm saying? So this is a very powerful concept that you must learn. Of course, there's a structure side to it, meaning that when you set up a holding company, when you file and form the paperwork for your EIN and for your articles of organization, there's language that you can add to the filing of that to specify that this LLC is a holding company. When you draft your operating agreement, there's language you put in your operating agreement to specify what the purpose of this LLC is, which is for the purpose of being a holding company. But like I tell a lot of people I work with, even if we set up your holding company, let's say we file the paperwork, we form it, we get your operating agreement, we submit it all back to you. Now you have a holding company. If you don't learn the concept, you ain't gonna know what to do with it, right? You're just gonna be stuck with a holding company, telling everybody, oh, I got a holding company. Okay, but what's next? That's the day-to-day management part. And these are things that you have to learn. You have to learn how to manage the day-to-day operations of this type of infrastructure, that you may have a holding company, you may have operational divisions inside of your holding company, and you may have subsidiaries. So when you have that type of complex structure, even if somebody puts this together for you with the paperwork, with the filing and the formation, and give it all back to you, if you wake up with that type of structure, you ain't gonna really know, okay, how do I run it? What do I do with it? That's the educational part. That's why people like me show up all the time on social media telling you, hey, I'm not just trying to sell you a course or, pitch a program to you. I'm trying to show you that when you get introduced to concepts like this and it becomes interesting to you and you start doing research and you realize, wow, this is a powerful concept that I want to utilize so I can maximize my business, I'm going to have to be willing to pay the price to learn this stuff so that it can actually work for me. It's just as simple as that, all right? So that's pillar number one. Pillar number two is asset management. Listen, if you have a structure like this, just look at this structure. Even though my art is horrible. But I just want you to see something. Look at this structure. Look at you being at the top. Look at you having a holding company. Look at you maybe having operational divisions and subsidiaries. This automatically, by default, this type of structure, do you see that? This structure by default makes you an asset manager. So this is another concept you have to learn. And most entrepreneurs, first of all, they don't have this type of structure. So let's say this is a holding company that holds assets. Let's say these divisions are operational divisions that represent certain things you do within your holding company. And let's say these are OEs for operating entities, meaning that they sell products and provide services. Most entrepreneurs don't have this. Most of these people are just stuck in these boxes trying to sell a product, trying to push a service. Most entrepreneurs are stuck right there. They never break out of that box. They never create that type of structure. They never familiarize themselves with that concept. They just keep listening to people like me talk about it and tell you that this is the way you can maximize your business with little resources. That's the biggest key to this, all right? But when you do have this structure set up, you are by default an asset manager. Well, why do you say I'm an asset manager by default? Well, look at the structure. The holding company is essentially an asset that you own. The operating companies are assets that your holding company owns. So if your holding company owns another company, that means your holding company owns an asset. That means all of these assets are owned by you. That means you have to learn how to become an asset manager in your business. I'm not talking about a hedge fund manager on Wall Street. I'm talking about an asset manager. Now, what is it going to take for you to learn to become an asset manager? Well, it's as simple as that. You just have to learn how to identify with assets. Once you identify with assets, and I teach all of this in my courses too, you have to learn how to accumulate those assets that you identify with. So as I said, if you saw this on the ground somewhere and you didn't know what it was, you wouldn't know the value of it, would you? You probably wouldn't even pay attention to it. But if you have a digital whiteboard and you paid the money to have one of these whiteboards and you know the utility of this to the whiteboard, if you saw one of these, you will pick it up and say, oh my God, this is an asset. Other people will be like, it looked like a big old plastic marker, but you will be like, no, this is an asset because without this, look, with my finger, with the pen, you wouldn't be able to write with this. I'm just giving you an example. So when you learn the basics of asset management as a business owner, what you're learning is how to identify with things that have monetary value to this structure. You identify with things that have revenue value, market value, enterprise value. You start identifying with things that could increase the net worth of this enterprise, that could accelerate the revenue opportunities for this enterprise. Those are the assets that you start identifying with. And there are so many different things that most people have and they don't even see them as assets. I talk to people all the time. And when I start going through the list of asking them questions about, do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have this? Do you have that? And they say, oh yeah, I do have that. Do you have this? Oh, I do have that. All of a sudden they start realizing that, wow, I got assets. So you're trying to get your business off the ground and all you're looking at is maybe a loan, a credit card, a line of credit, somebody to let you hold 20 grand to get started. Those are not necessarily assets. Those are really liabilities. But you have things in your life personally, maybe professionally and financially, that you could use as assets, but you're not an asset manager. You don't think like an asset manager. That's why you have to start getting familiar with this stuff. And then when you identify with those assets, you can start accumulating them. And once you accumulate them, you can start integrating those assets into this business structure. So there are certain things that you identify with, that you start accumulating, that you can now integrate into this business ecosystem that starts helping you generate revenue. It starts creating business activity. It starts giving you more value and more net worth because you're learning how to become an asset manager. And then once you start integrating these assets into this business, there's a valuation stage where you can start valuating, and you're able to see the dollar amount of value that you are creating in this business enterprise because you have learned to become an asset manager. Am I making sense to y'all? Am I helping you understand the power of these 4 pillars? I'm telling you that you should maximize in your business. I just went through 2. The 3rd pillar is creative tax strategies. So again, I'm not a tax strategist. I'm an entrepreneur. I work with CPAs. I have one, a tax strategist. And so we go through this all year long. But when I talk to my tax strategist, or when they go inside of my QuickBooks accounts and see where I'm at with my financial activities, I still, as the entrepreneur and owner of my business, I still need to know how to track my income, my expenses. I still need to know how to track my cash collected. I still need to be able to trace back, let's say 90 days or 6 months, to see what financial habits my business has, where my profit centers are, like what areas are generating the most revenue, what areas of my business that generate revenue that have the biggest margins. All of these basic financial activities and metrics helps to determine what tax strategies I'm able to implement. You understand what I'm saying? So even though it's going to require you to have a good CPA and or a tax strategist to help you when it comes to the filing and the forming of your paperwork, when it comes to some of the legal responsibilities with the strategies that you implement, but as an entrepreneur who wakes up every day to run your business, you have to facilitate the creative tax strategies that the expert provides for you. You got to facilitate that by at least having a basic understanding of business accounting. And when you think you're going to just hire people to do all this stuff for you, maybe you will. But most entrepreneurs, especially if they're small business owners and solopreneurs, most of them don't have the money to hire people, number one. And number two, if they just hire auntie or their cousin or get their spouse to just try to put together their QuickBooks account, they're going to make so many mistakes and get so discouraged and overwhelmed that they're going to stop doing it, and they're going to find themselves struggling. And then you're never going to get on top of what you're now behind on. So this is a very important pillar. But as the entrepreneur, you've got to become familiar with the income and expense tracking, with how much cash you're collecting. You got to get mindful of, okay, what would my tax liability be today if I filed my taxes right now at any point of the year? You got to be able to forecast, or at least understand the basics of forecasting. These are things that your tax person is going to work with you on. But again, your tax person is going to need you to have some type of financial accounting system that you stay on top of. So it makes it a little easier for them to go in and figure out what you're doing. So of course you can hire a virtual assistant, a bookkeeper, somebody to help you. But again, I'm talking to the entrepreneurs who might not even have the resources and the money to do that. All you trying to do is make money every day. So some of this stuff you're going to have to put in sweat equity, intellectual equity, to learn enough to not be overwhelmed every day. Because this could be overwhelming when you're trying to learn these concepts and you're already strapped for cash, you're already behind in bills, you're already trying to figure out how you're going to make ends meet this week. But that doesn't negate the fact that when you are an entrepreneur, you have to still figure out ways to maximize your business. All right. And if you have these pillars that you understand and that you're utilizing the principles of these pillars in your business every day, at a certain point, you start finding a rhythm. You start finding a sweet spot and you start seeing some positive results. Okay. And the fourth pillar to maximizing business is the pillar of operational systems. So when I say operational systems, a more sophisticated word may be, or a more professional word may be, having a general operating system. Having a GOS, a general operating system. And what that looks like for me is, let's say you have a sales system. I'm just going to try to make this simple. Let's say you have a sales system. You have a marketing system. You have an administration system. You have a financial system. And then let's say you have even an executive system for yourself, right? These are all systems and processes, you want to put in place so that if you have to wake up every day as an entrepreneur and manage the day-to-day operations of your sales, your marketing, your administration, your finances, and your executive activities, you can make it efficient. You can become a little more systematic with it. You can almost automate it to make it a little easier, but that's going to require systems. That means it's going to require certain platforms that you're using, and it's going to require processes, certain steps that you're taking in all of these areas to start measuring the impact that you're making in these areas. Because if you have platforms that are tracking all your activities in these areas, and if you have processes, steps that you take every day so that you can get more data, more metrics, more numbers, more analytics, more results from these 5 areas, it makes it easier for you to look to see, is my marketing working? What is working in my marketing? With my administration, am I returning calls the right way? Am I setting enough of the appointments with clients? Am I servicing them? All this stuff is about having an operational system. So if you see just from today's show, these are 4 pillars that you should feel like I gotta have in my life as an entrepreneur. There is just no way I'm going to even maximize my business. Definitely never scale my business if I can't wrap my mind around at least the basics of these 4 concepts, all right, that we're calling pillars today. So if you're watching this, the good part about all of this is I just created an offer Monday, and this offer is for you to join me on Saturday, September the 2nd. This is Labor Day weekend from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. I'm hosting a live virtual business boot camp. It's going to be a live virtual event. It's going to be a private event, so you're going to have to be onboarded to have access to it. But on Saturday, September the 2nd from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., I'll be standing or maybe sitting right here in my studio. You're going to have a private link to join me, and I'm going to do a 6-hour deep dive on all 4 of those concepts that I just talked about. Holding companies, asset management, creative tax strategies, and organizational or operational systems. I'm going to get into the weeds of all 4 of these. I'm going to get into the techniques and the tactics. I'm talking about like the techniques and tactics of when you're filing your paperwork for your holding company or your operating company. What language do you use? What forms do you use? How do you draft your operating agreement? Are there other agreements or documents that you need if you're transferring assets? If you're moving one existing LLC to a new holding company LLC, I'm going to talk about all of that. We're going to talk about asset management. I'm going to share with you probably 30 different assets that you can start identifying with and then start accumulating and integrating into your business. Like I'm going to show you just in this 1-day deep dive how to actually become an asset manager in your business. I'm not talking about on Wall Street, in your business. It's a powerful concept that if you pair it with the holding company, you're going to explode your business. You're definitely going to explode your confidence. Okay, so during this 1-day business boot camp, I'm going to also talk about creative tax strategies. I'm going to share with you a lot of things that I have done in my company working with the CPA and the tax strategist. I've worked with a couple of them. I have relationships with a few good ones here in Atlanta. And I'm going to share with you things that I've done to minimize my taxes, maximize my business deductions, and things that have helped me as an entrepreneur not just be better at it with what I do every day to manage my finances, but it made me better working with experts when it's time for me to work with them. And it made it better for them because they like the fact that I know enough to keep my books good and clean. So when they come in periodically, it doesn't look a mess and they're lost and I'm not lost throughout the year as well. And then we're going to take some time during this boot camp to talk about organizational systems or general operating systems. So I want to show you how to make that type of system work for you that I just drew out. How do you take your systems for sales and marketing and administration and finance and executive activities? How do you make them all work together? Especially if you're a solopreneur, because you're wearing multiple hats and you want to make this as efficient and effective as you possibly can. So all this week, I've been extending a special offer for $97. It is an offer for you to join me on September the 2nd, Saturday, for this 1-day virtual business boot camp. I'm giving you one VIP ticket to join me live on Saturday, September 2nd, when we go through this deep dive. But also for $97, I don't even know why I'm doing this, I'm giving you 1 year unlimited access to 4 of my training programs on these 4 pillars. So when you reach out to me and text the word bootcamp, once you pay that $97, once that payment is processed, you get onboarded into our business bootcamp bundle. It's a business bootcamp bundle inside of my university training platform. And inside of that business bootcamp bundle, there's a program for the upcoming bootcamp that you're going to see the link in. But then you're going to see these 4 programs on your dashboard for the holding company, for asset management, for creative tax strategies, for operational systems and processes. And you can start training today. If you just take this offer and start going through these videos and these modules and learning these principles and concepts, by the time you join me live on September the 2nd, I can guarantee you're already gonna be blown away by the information, but you're probably gonna be on there like, man, I'm already ahead. I'm already seeing progress. Like every time someone takes me up on this type of offer and they learn these concepts, they come back around and say, oh my God, I didn't know. But now that I know, it's making me see business ownership differently and it's making it easy. So you get one VIP ticket to join me live for my upcoming 1-day virtual business bootcamp, where I'm going to do a 1-day deep dive on these 4 subjects, these pillars. But then I'm also giving you 1 year unlimited access to all 4 of my educational programs for starting and structuring holding companies. There's a startup kit with all the documents and forms inside of that program. I'm giving you a program on asset management to teach you how to learn to identify with assets. I give you about 30 or more common assets or not so common assets that you should accumulate, integrate, and evaluate in your business. I give you a creative tax strategy training program so that you can learn as an entrepreneur how to facilitate these types of strategies in your finances. And then I give you a corporate systems and process program to show you how to put a general operating system together. Man, you can't beat that. $97, come on, man. You're going to spend that tonight when you go out to eat or sometimes this weekend. You might well spend $97 to get a VIP ticket to join me live. Even if you can't join me the whole day on September the 2nd, you're going to get access to the replay and you will have that business bootcamp bundle with these 4 programs and the replay. You'll have it inside of your dashboard for a whole year. You're only paying $97. That's like $9 a month to have 1 year access to probably $1 million worth of game if you learn it and if you put it to work. So just text the word bootcamp to 678-276-8253. 678-276-8253. Just text bootcamp to this number. When you text that number, we're going to reach back out to you. And if you're ready to sign up, we can either process your payment over the phone. If you ain't comfortable with that, we'll send you a private, safe link or invoice through our QuickBooks account that you could process on your end through QuickBooks or PayPal or Stripe or whatever you use. And then once we get it back in our office, you will be onboarded and you'll have instant access to our business bootcamp bundle for only $97. So text bootcamp to 678-276-8253. That's bootcamp. Text that to 678-276-8253. We want to get you signed up and onboarded today. I want to get you training today. I want you to start learning about holding companies, asset management, creative tax strategies, systems and processes. So when you join me live, you can ask any question you want to ask. I'm going to be answering all your questions, but I'm going to be deep diving into these topics so that you can wrap your mind around it. I think what I'm talking about right now is going to be one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people become millionaires in the next couple years. At least I personally believe it. It's yet to be seen, but I have a lot of confidence in what I'm teaching and talking about. So I look forward to hearing from you. Text bootcamp to 678-276-8253. Are you ready? You ready to rock and roll? I said, are you ready to rock and roll? Are you ready to learn? Are you ready to train? And listen, if you don't understand these concepts, you definitely need to learn them. And you're going to learn all these for $97. You're going to learn about the holding company, how to start, structure this type of infrastructure. You're going to learn how to manage the day-to-day operations of it. You're going to learn a lot of other creative concepts that I teach that you can use the holding company for. You're going to learn about asset management. You're going to learn how to use this concept and really become an asset manager. It's powerful. You're going to learn about creative tax strategies from the perspective of an entrepreneur who works with tax strategists. I'm not one, but I work with them. You're going to learn how to put a general operating system together to make what you do as an entrepreneur and solopreneur and business owner a little more easier, a little more effective, a little more efficient. So you get all that education and training, unlimited access for 1 year, plus a VIP ticket to join me live on Saturday, September the 2nd for $97. Can't ask for nothing else, right? $97. You get over $1,000 worth of training and worth of support. And it's really mentorship. I'm literally mentoring you on concepts and principles that have helped me to get where I am. So I know they work. And if I wasn't seeing the success of them, if I didn't implement them and execute them and have an impact in my life and business from them, I wouldn't be talking about them. So just text bootcamp to 678-276-8253. Appreciate all of you for joining the show on this beautiful, beautiful Friday, August the 18th. We'll be back here, not tomorrow, but Monday. We'll be back here Monday, 12 o'clock noon, Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Ramon Preston Show. All right? Text Bootcamp to the number you see. I'll talk with you on the other side of this live.